Hey, thanks for watching. Just wanted to share with you some of my favorite watches. These are Omega Seamaster Professional models. On the right is the 2254.50. The middle one is the last Bond version with the black dial um, prior to the changeover to ceramic bezel, and the one on the left is the SMPc, or the C is for ceramic because of the ceramic bezel. There is a newer version now which is substantially different, larger date window at the 6 o'clock position, but fortunately I don't have one to be able to compare. But I think these three are actually a better comparison with each other because they're more similar. The newest model I feel somewhat diverges from these, but basically, left to right, the leftmost watch is the newest, the right is the oldest. There was some overlap, possibly, between some of these being sold, but generally that's the evolution of models, as you can see. The right model, the 2254.50, unfortunately, it seems that Omega didn't continue with this sort of sub-line of the Seamaster, meaning with the sword hands and this Speedmaster style bracelet. I've read online that seems to possibly be because they didn't want, this type of watch to compete with the Planet Oceans, which have, grown into like a pretty important line for Omega. So that might be part of the reason, but these are quite desirable by collectors, not to mention that they're comfortable and really nice looking watches. But I think that definitely adds to their desirability. The newest SMPc and the prior Bond, you can see, are obviously quite similar, very similar markers, very similar hands, skeleton hands, both of them. Color scheme is very similar. The bracelet design is very similar, but there are differences. The dial on the SMPc is glossy, whereas the prior version is a little bit less so. I wouldn't say it's completely matte, but it's a little bit less so, and has a wave pattern. Again, can be hard to see, but it's there. Here's the glossy dial of this one. The bezel inserts are different. SMPc is ceramic, prior version is aluminum. The font of the numbers and markings on the bezel is different as well. I actually greatly prefer this SMPc number style. I think it's much more modern. This, unfortunately, is just, to me, very dated. You sometimes see numbers that are like timeless, like on a Rolex sub, but these just seem very from the early 90s, which is when they originate. Bracelet design is very similar. The bracelet on the SMPc is a little bit heavier, a little bit less rounded on the sides, a little bit maybe more squared off would be a good way to put it. Also uses screw links. Here, I'll compare. See, it's more rounded on the sides. It's more comfortable for that reason. It's a little thinner, uses pins to connect the links. Case back design is actually very similar. This one is a little bit more deeply embossed, but I mean, that's a pretty small difference. Less writing on the clasp here. This clasp is shorter and doesn't close flush with the underside of the bracelet. I'll show you what I mean. So when you close it here, it's just not the best idea. I don't know why they did that, but I'll show you on the old version. It's a longer clasp, which is better, easier to put the watch on, but you see how it's smooth. There's no protrusion. It's more comfortable. The 2254 has the same style as the older Bond, the middle watch. See. Interesting thing to note, if it matters, is the Bond style bracelet, which by Bond I mean these, the same as the watch of the Bond movies. I think first in GoldenEye, the older predecessor of this watch. These are all three have 20 millimeter lugs, but these bracelets don't taper. They're 20 mil all the way to the clasp, whereas the Speedmaster style bracelet does taper, as you can see. There's a taper there, and the clasp goes down to 18, I believe. Some people may find that more comfortable. I can definitely understand that. I also think, though, there is a plus to the non-taper bracelet. It sort of gives the watch some heft, some kind of makes it more substantial. I think it's also a little bit more masculine, you know, to have the non-taper bracelet. But again, none of these watches are small or anything like that. So there's, you know, that really boils down to personal preference, I'd say. But yeah, all three of them are really wonderful pieces. I hesitate to say this with certainty because I don't own the newest version, but just based on looks, I like all three of these better than the current Seamaster Professional. That's a larger watch, 42 millimeter case. These are all 41. That one also has like a louder design in general. I wish I had one to compare, but you can easily look it up, and there's tons of videos on them. It's a much more bold watch, and you know, for me, to me this strikes a better balance. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this look at these three watches. Any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. I'll try to answer any questions if I see them. Until next time.